Hello, this is Francis from McCaffrey's Crafts, and today I'm continuing on my series about Blackthorn and Irish Faction Fighters. I think the last one we did was talk about the police and how they were a law to themselves and how messy they were. So we'll just kind of continue on from there. It actually took all the way up until May 1836 for a bill to reorganise the police system, and this bill became law. This was known as the Constabulary Act 1836, and basically what this did, it authorised the formation of the Irish Constabulary, again basically a paramilitary force. The Irish Constabulary replaced all other police forces in the country, and it came under the control of the Crown, and effectively ending the influence which the corrupt magistracy and the grand juries had enjoyed in police matters. So that was the idea anyway, to clean things up and to get a better structure in place, because Ireland was kind of like, still there was a lot of lawlessness going on. At the head of the new force was an Inspector General called Colonel Shaw Kennedy, and then you had two Deputy Inspector Generals, wrote down here, Majors Warburton and Miller, and they lived in Dublin, and they had 4 provincial inspectors, 35 sub-inspectors, each for County Cork and Tipperary. So you see, it was getting a bit more organised, and if you leave it for 4 years up until 1840, at that stage, the records show there was 8,500 policemen in a new force, and they were stationed at districts all over the country, and they were housed in specially built barracks. So, like even in my town, Killorglin, the top of the hill, there's a very big imposing building. It's the Garda Barracks, and that would be going back to those times as well. So again, from time to time under its formation, a guy by the name of Thomas Drummond, he was the undersecretary, and he had a strong force. Like he was the guy who told the police to go to market fairs, to patrons, to race meetings, and any other occasions where it was traditional for factions to fight. So Thomas Drummond was the guy coming down hard on the factions. And again, he was actually, the strange thing about him is he kind of, was in sympathy with the national feeling of the Irish people. It's documented as well that, he was a bit more pro-Irish than most of the other blackguards that were there at the time. So the police had orders to interfere with the slightest sign of disturbance, to disperse the factions and arrest all what they call disorderly persons. And Drummond insisted on effective police reporting and on the identification of faction fights in particular, banning many of the more notorious fairs and markets. So if any market was known for being quite a cesspool of violence or around the faction fightings, then they were banned at the time. His maxim was kind of like the rule of life that he lived by was faith in the people and strength in the executive. So again, he was a bit different than most of the other police guys at the time. It seemed, and it's documented, that he kind of wanted to clean things up a bit, and he wanted to, he seemed to be a man of the people anyway. But I'm sure he did some things as well that were probably, if he's a policeman at the time, none of them were clean cops as well. So I thought I'd just kind of introduce there, because look, it was at this time that factions were on the wane. The police were coming down hard on them. The fairs were being cancelled. They were identifying faction fighters. So it was all to do with that act and how the police force in Ireland gets set up. So that's kind of one of the main causes in which the faction fights started to kind of wane, and the beginning of them, kind of scaling down, because they'd enjoyed a good 40 years of mayhem and spreading throughout Ireland. So just like everything, it came to a point, and now it's starting to go in decline. And we'll just kind of go through this, and then there's still plenty of things to discuss about the individual factions, about the different fights and the different times. Again, don't worry, we have enough content here to last another few hundred videos. So thanks for watching anyway, and I'll continue on in this series.